Let's pick one player that each Big Six club should sign this January. So starting off with Liverpool, and I think they should sign João Ordonez, a brilliant young centre-back from Club Brugge, only 20 years of age, and he'd be a great addition to Liverpool's lineup. You look at Virgil van Dijk, best in the world, but he's ageing, and if he were to get injured, it could derail Liverpool's season. Konate, a brilliant defender, but injury-prone. Gomez, a good defender, but not quite an elite one. And Quansah, he may be a great defender in years to come, but at the moment, I don't think he's at the level to play on a consistent basis. And yes, this guy's young, and he hasn't got loads of experience, but he's played in the Champions League. He's marshalled Ollie Watkins well in the Champions League too, and he's a big physical presence, competent on the ball, and I think a centre-back like him would be a great buy for Liverpool. Plus the fact, Club Brugge only paid $3 million for him, so they're going to be guaranteed to make a profit. But I still think Liverpool would have to probably pay about $30 million for his services, mid-season obviously, inflated prices, and plus the fact he's one of, if not Club Brugge's best player. So moving on to Arsenal, and who do you think they should sign in January?
Well, I've gone for something that I think, in my opinion, is a vital position that they need to address, and that is a rotation for Saka, because as we've seen, Saka's getting injured more and more, and it's a serious issue that they need to address. And I think if they sign someone like Trincao from Sporting,
interesting pick,
it would be a great addition, because he's picked up 5 goals and 8 assists in the league in just 15 appearances. And also, as we know, Saka is a great creative outlet in that Arsenal side. I'm not saying Trincao would replicate that, but the fact that he is able to create 2.56 chances per 90 tells me that he could certainly do a job in there, and that could help Arsenal push them to win the league.
But last time Trincao was in the Premier League at Wolves, he underperformed. So what makes you think it will be different this time?
Well, I think it's a new Trincao that we're seeing at Sporting, because we've not actually seen him operate at this level in his career. And I think if you look at a lot of players that have played in the Premier League, they've had to go away. Look at Mohamed Salah, he's a great example, right winger, left footed, like Trincao. And he's went away from the Prem because he wasn't very good at Chelsea, come back, and well, he's recognised as arguably the greatest winger in Premier League history. And I'm not saying obviously Trincao is going to be that, but we've seen multiple cases where even someone like Gibbs White, who was at Wolves, went to the Championship, yes, a different league, but still went elsewhere, came back to Forest, and he's operating on a whole nother level, and he's one of the, well, certainly a fantastic midfielder in the Premier League. And I think Trincao could be the same. I'm not saying he'd be like one of the best wingers in the Premier League.
Well, at Arsenal, he'll be playing with better players than he was at Wolves, which will definitely
and that will certainly help his numbers. And the fact that he's putting up great numbers, like I said earlier, at Sporting, yes, MK might not play as much at Arsenal, but like you said, the fact that he'll get better service towards him means that I think he'll be certainly a sufficient backup. And moving on to their London rivals, Chelsea. Zach, who do you think Chelsea should sign in January?
Well, personally, I think they should sign Milan Skriniar from PSG. A very good defender. At Inter Milan, he was colossus.
Fantastic.
But since he's joined PSG and played in Paris, he hasn't really sort of got going. He's fallen out of favour with Luis Enrique, and they want to get rid of him. And Chelsea have a very young and naive back line. Fofana, Cole, Badiashile, Disasi, these players are all young. They're below sort of 23, 24 years of age, whereas Skriniar's 29. And if he were to play in that back line, not every week, but most weeks, I think he'd add that bit of stability and that bit of experience that Chelsea need.
Do you think he'd suit well into Chelsea's system as well, though?
That's the only slight caveat, because I think Chelsea do play over high line. And Milan Skriniar, he's not Konate. He's not absolutely rapid. But what he isn't is slow. And I do think he would operate well in Chelsea's back line, and he'd be able to coach the younger players through games at times. And for the fee that they would probably get him for, which would maybe be, I don't know, 20 million potentially, because if he's if he's fallen out of favour with
we know that PSG want to get rid of him, so he's not going to be expensive, is he? No. So, if they want to get rid of him, then they're not going to be looking for a big fee. They want to get him out the door as soon as possible.
100%.
So it certainly won't be a big fee, I do agree.
Seems like a feasible option in January, and an option that they could need. I know that they do need a goalkeeper, because Sanchez isn't good enough for Chelsea to win a title, but when looking at the goalkeepers in Europe at the moment, signing one in January is always tricky. Clubs don't want to let goalkeepers go, do they? So Skriniar seems like the best option when you consider all the variables.
I agree.
And travelling up north to Old Trafford, who do you think United should get their hands on this January?
Well, I've gone for Ryan Aït-Nouri from Wolves. I think it'd be a fantastic addition to their side if they're able to get him in January. And if you look at Amram's system, it's heavily reliant on wing-backs. And not only do United not have many wing-backs at all, but they don't have ones of much quality. And I think Aït-Nouri would certainly add that to their side.
Well, he's a consistent performer and he's consistently available.
Definitely.
You look at their current left-back options, Luke Shaw, regularly injured. Same with Tariq Malacia, and Diogo Dalot's better on the right-hand side. So he would seem like the perfect fit and the perfect buy for United in January.
And not only will he offer great service in their attack and help create more chances from wide areas, but I also think he'd be a fantastic addition to Amram's high pressing system, because he ranks high in possessions won in the final third with 0.52 per 90, which is certainly fantastic, and it's something that the manager would definitely be looking for. And also Wolves will be looking to sell him, because they're dangerously looking like they're going to get relegated, and Aït-Nouri would certainly be open to a move. And the fact that Wolves do have their financial problems means that they probably would sell him, and I think probably in the region...
How much do you reckon?
of 35 to 40 million, I think.
Okay.
Would be about that price for Aït-Nouri, and I think that'd be great on both sides because Wolves need to sell. Aït-Nouri would probably want to move because of the way Wolves are going, and also United will get a great addition to their wing backs.
Although every player that turns up at United, well, their career seems to go south.
That is true, yeah.
But yeah, I think he'd be a good buy, and like you said, at that price point, it may seem quite inflated, but at the same time, he's Premier League proven and he's young, so he's got plenty of room to grow.
And also, United aren't looking to spend big either because they spent big in the past, and they're going to be having FFP on them if they carry on spending big. So something like this, a 35 to 40 million fee, would be great for them, and is a great player as well. And now moving on to their noisy neighbours in Manchester City. Zach, who do you think they should sign in January?
Well, I identified a midfielder who plays for Torino called Samuel Ricci. He's not the level of Zubimendi, but Zubimendi would be really hard to prize away mid-season. So realistically, this player could be the perfect buy for City. He only cost Torino 7 million, but I reckon City would have to pay probably about 40 million for his services.
Yeah.
But what he is competent on the ball and a good ball winner. And what does City need at the moment? A player who's competent on the ball and a good ball winner. And he will get himself about in midfield too. He'll cover good ground, and he is a workhorse. He may not be a player who's got a big frame. He's only 5'9", and he's not sort of a physical presence like Rodri, so he won't be bullying players in midfield.
Yeah.
But I do think he will be not an ample replacement, but an adequate replacement for Rodri until obviously the Spaniard returns from his injury. And obviously City do have an abundance of other midfield problems amid the Rodri injury. And last but not least, your club Tottenham. Who do you think you should sign in the January window?
Well, I think I've gone for an interesting choice. I don't think many would be expected, maybe even Tottenham fans themselves, but I've gone for Jason Steele, the goalkeeper from Brighton, because right now Vicario obviously is injured and he's out for multiple months. We don't know how long for sure, but he certainly will be out for a prolonged period of time. And that's certainly now we need to address, because right now we have Forster in there who simply isn't good enough with the ball at his feet. And the fact that Ange won't change his system, we know that, he said that multiple times, means that he's still going to be asked upon to play the ball out from the back. And if we're going to do that, you may as well get someone who is competent with the ball at his feet. And I think the fee will probably be around £10 million. So I know it sounds quite a lot. It's not too bad in terms of, in the grand scheme of things. I think that's all right.
It's not expensive.
Now. Exactly, yeah. But I think Brighton will be looking for that because they know that we'll need a keeper. They won't want to go and buy another number 2 in January. So
100%.
They'll be trying to rinse us for a bit of money, I know 10 mil's not loads, but in terms of,
for a 34-year-old number 2, it does seem a little bit excessive.
That's the thing. And I know it sounds stupid, but I mean, I've watched Jason Still at Brighton. I think he is fantastic.
He's not a bad keeper, is he?
His best attribute is distributing the ball, and that's something that we need desperately at Tottenham. I know there's other areas that we need to address, so obviously I'm not just saying if we sign a keeper, that's it. But I just think right now, for me, it's the most important issue that we need to certainly address in January, for sure.
Jason Steele being able to play the ball out the back competently compared to Forster could be the difference between you finishing in the European spot or not.
Yeah.
And ultimately, we know Daniel Levy, he likes his money.
He does.
So although he may have to go and spend 10 million on the signing of Jason Steele, he'll make that back in revenue from finishing in Europe as opposed to not, wouldn't he?
Yeah, definitely. And I agree with what you said, by the way, because if you look at a lot of the goals we concede, some of them are on the transition, but a lot of them are when we're trying to play out from the back, and it ends up going wrong, and usually it's something to do with the keeper, where Forster's either played the wrong pass, made the wrong decision, or just an awful kick in general. And I think if Jason Still came in and certainly, almost eradicated all those issues, that could certainly help prevent a lot of goals that we concede.
Just replace the best keeper that's Messi's faced with Brighton's number 2. Sounds about right, doesn't it?
Oh, exactly, of course.
But over to you guys. Who do you think your club should sign in January? You may be a fan of the Big 6 teams, or you may be a fan of another team in the Premier League. Let us know down below. And do you agree with our picks, or do you think they're too outlandish to happen mid-season?